Okay, guys, we are live. How's everybody doing? And as I said earlier, Donald Trump is running scared. He is in emails linked to Jeffrey Epstein. And what did Jeffrey Epstein say in those emails? Donald Trump is running scared. The Republicans are running scared because what they have is a pedo protection.
From the Epstein estate.
What they have is a pedo protection program.
Or rather, the House Oversight Committee subpoenaed from the Epstein estate reams, thousands of pages worth, released this morning by Democrats on that panel, several mentioning President Trump by name.
This morning, the bombshell release of what House Democrats say are emails to and from deceased convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, several referring to President Donald Trump by name. In an April 2011 email released by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, lawmakers say Epstein wrote to his now convicted accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, 3 years after pleading guilty to sex crimes involving a minor, telling her, "I want you to realize that that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Unnamed victims spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned." According to the released emails, Maxwell responds, "I have been thinking about that." But this summer, in a recorded interview with the Department of Justice, Maxwell told Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, the president's former lawyer, she never witnessed Trump act inappropriately.
"I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects."
Shortly after that interview, Maxwell was moved to a minimum security prison camp, prompting criticism she received special treatment. Committee Democrats also releasing this January 2019 email, where Epstein corresponds with author Michael Wolff less than 6 months before the financier would be charged again, this time with sex trafficking of minors. Discussing President Trump's repeated claim he kicked Epstein out of his Palm Beach club, Epstein writing, "Trump said he asked me to resign, never a member ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop." President Trump has denied any knowledge of Epstein's alleged crimes.
It's a hoax. It's started by Democrats.
After Epstein's arrest in 2019, Trump said he hadn't spoken with him in 15 years. And earlier this year, Trump claimed the reason he banned his one-time friend from Mar-a-Lago in the mid-2000s was because Epstein stole Trump's club staff, including young women.
He took people, and because he took people, I said, "Don't do it anymore. You know, they work for me." And he took, beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him. I didn't like, when they steal people, I don't like it.
And no response yet from the White House on the release of these emails. Meantime, right up here on Capitol Hill, in just hours, Speaker Mike Johnson will swear in Representative-elect 𝐟𝐸𝐫𝐫𝐢. The speaker has prevented her from 7 weeks now from taking her seat. She says one of her first orders of business will be signing that petition, providing the last signature it needs to force a vote on the House floor for the release of thousands of other pages of the Department of Justice's Epstein records. Once she does that, the clock starts ticking down to that vote, expected in the coming weeks, Stuart.
We want the files. No matter what you do, Donald Trump, we are going to get those files, okay? Because now we have information that Donald Trump, in fact, was with Epstein. And from those emails, what does it say? What does those emails say? That Donald Trump was with those women. Yeah, that's what it says. Donald Trump. Donnie, you are in trouble now.
The Epstein files is also reminding us of the critical importance of a 7-year-old Pulitzer Prize-winning investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. Both the horror inflicted on young women lured into his sex trafficking ring, and how a sweetheart deal left victims, as the Miami Herald reported in 2018, still fighting for an elusive justice that not even time has made right. What we do know from court documents is that Donald Trump flew on Epstein's jet 7 times between 1993 and 1997. His name and phone number were among many in Epstein's little black book. Trump has said he and Epstein were once friends but had a falling out. And in the 23,000 emails released from his estate yesterday, Epstein alleges that Trump knew about the young girls and spent hours at his home with someone prosecutors describe as a victim. It's not clear what Epstein means, and MSNBC has not confirmed the allegation. Still, the White House press secretary responded.
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong.
But for the victims, that denial raises an obvious question. Then why fight the release of the full Epstein files that have long been fighting to see? Joining me now is a word.
If there's nothing to see, then you would release the files. We know that that's a lie.
Winning Miami Herald investigative journalist Julie K. Brown. She has been reporting on Epstein's abuse and subsequent legal dealings for years. Catherine Christian is an MSNBC legal analyst and former Manhattan Assistant District Attorney. Julie, I wanted to have you on today because maybe next to the victims, you understand the delay tactics used to keep evidence from coming out. Can you briefly remind people of the extraordinary plea deal that Jeffrey Epstein struck and how the victims were essentially frozen out of it?
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein was first investigated way back in 2005 by the Palm Beach Police Department. The police department did a fantastic job on this investigation, but they were thwarted at every turn. First of all, by the state attorney in Palm Beach, who didn't want to prosecute him. And then after the case went to the FBI and federal authorities, the case then was Epstein hired a whole slew of high-powered attorneys, and they managed to manipulate these federal prosecutors into this lenient plea deal in which he only served 18 months in a county jail. And literally, it was sort of a county fed.
I'm just going to answer a question. Somebody said, are you people for the victims or to get Trump? I mean, why don't you ask Trump, is he for the victims? Because it doesn't seem like he care about victims. You know, I mean, what do you mean? Are you people for the victims? Last time I checked, Donald Trump was sued for a similar act. So what do you mean? Are you people for Trump? What do you even know what you mean? Trump is doing the same thing. I mean, he's in the Epstein files. I mean, are you okay?
So to speak, it was sort of like a club where he was allowed to leave every day and he was allowed to go to his office. He entertained at his office. He hardly spent any time there. So after he got out, it was only until almost when he was released when it was finally realized what had been done and how this deal had been done in secret.
And how the victims were kept from even knowing what had happened. So, Julie, the argument from the victims and their lawyers about what they're seeing from the White House is that this is more of the same, more of trying to keep them from getting the information they think they deserve, including trying to get 2 women members of Congress to vote against the release of the files.
So there goes your answer. Donald Trump is the person in the middle preventing these victims from really getting what they need. So when you say it's people after Donald Trump, what the hell do you mean? Donald Trump is clearly a PEDO, and y'all know the rest of the word. I mean, he is running a protection plan for the pedos. So, Trump is for Trump and definitely not for the kids, the children, the people who were the victims, okay?
And some of what the victims and even the Palm Beach police chief and investigator went through, the pressure and the intimidation tactics. Do you see sort of a through line there between what happened back then and what is happening now? The intimidation factor.
I see it in all ways, including in the way that, quite frankly, Ghislaine Maxwell is being treated at this cushy prison she's in. It's the same thing that happened with Epstein. He was allowed to come and go from jail. He had all kinds of, privileges that no one else had in that jail. So it is completely a case of people who have wealth and connections being able to sadly manipulate our criminal justice system. And the people that suffer are these victims who were children when this happened, who were treated as if they were in part to blame for what happened, even though they were sexually molested and even raped when they were in their teens.
Catherine, one of the emails that came from Epstein in January of 2019 reads like this, quote, Trump knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. It's one of many yesterday that lacks context, right? So we can't be sure.
Trump knew about the girls. So keep in mind, guys, this is something that Jeffrey Epstein wrote years ago. The only reason that you guys are able to see it is because the Democratic Party had been trying to get this information, but Donald Trump and his minions have blocked it because they are running a protection plan specifically for the pedos. So because they were not able to get this for Donald Trump, you have to understand there are people in the world that don't like pedos. Like I'm one of them, okay? So what the estate did is they released partial files, which was emails and things like that. You guys do know what an estate is. Like Jeffrey Epstein was a very rich man. He owned a lot of things. Use your brain. His computer, in his property, with emails. They released this information. So when you say, are people trying to get Donald Trump or are they trying to help the victims? I don't really understand your question because Donald Trump is the one in the middle that's protecting the pedos. So I'm confused what you mean when you say that.
What this means, but does this email and others like it that people are, looking at as being able to put blame, but again, lacking context, give weight to this?
I don't know, Miss USA Justice, if you are paying attention or what. When you say, where are the receipts? I don't know if you're listening. The receipt is the email. I mean, are you following us or are you just putting stuff in the chat? The email is the email from Jeffrey Epstein. Obviously, Jeffrey Epstein is gone, but during this time, he sent an email saying pretty much Donald Trump was the smoking gun. Donald Trump had a lot of information, and he said Donald Trump had been with one of the ladies at his house. That is what the man said. So when you say the receipts, honey, are you protecting the pedos or what? Because what do you mean the receipts? I mean, what, girl, what? Are you a girl? Because hopefully you're not. What are you saying?
This argument for full disclosure. Why put out partial things without context?
Exactly, because now you're going to be thinking, the worst, because there is no context. It's a vacuum. So he knew what? He asked her to stop, as he once said, he meaning the president on, I believe, Air Force One, he said that Ms. Jeffrey was stolen from him, meaning an employee was stolen. So that he asked Ghislaine to stop stealing employees or to stop sex trafficking employees. So it's unclear. You need all of the context to come out.
We had one of the lawyers representing some of the victims on just in the last hour. So I want to play what he had to say, calling for full disclosure.
It's one thing for the attorneys on behalf of the victims to say repeatedly over, almost now 20 years that there's more to this story, that there's more information that the public needs to see. It's another for the public to actually see what we've been talking about. And that's what the public is now getting an opportunity to see with these emails. I am here to say that there is even more, a lot more. And that's going to be photographs and video evidence of who was inside of the homes and what they were doing when they were there.
Is there any legal fight here, or is it all political until we actually see the full release, if we see the full release?
It's both. In terms of legal, unfortunately, the victims, the survivors, the statute of limitations for felonies is 5 years, so this is long past, and probably also for civil. But this also puts a spotlight on Todd Blanche's interview with Ms.
Whoever is in this chat, I'm just going to respond to your comment. You say mentioning and involved are two different things. Dylan Ellis, you are clearly a pedo protector. Nobody is going to answer your question because, listen, we understand that it is weirdo separate things, but you are to substantiate anything for you. You clearly protect people that harm children. And we realize that it's weirdos like you out there. It's okay.
Maxwell, that it wasn't a fact finding. He had to have known, you just put Trump in as a search word, about all of the emails that mentioned President Trump. And he never asked a single question about that, which shows that it was not a fact finding interview. And we should also point out again that Todd Blanche was President Trump's personal attorney, and ethically he has a duty to his former clients, which is President Trump. So that may have factored also in not wanting to get any information that looks bad for his client. There's no indication that President Trump did anything illegal. In fact, Ms. Jeffrey has even said that before she died in a deposition and in her book. But by not bringing everything out, it looks like you're hiding something.
Julie, do we know anything about what the lawyer had to say about potential photos and videos that may be part of what's still out there that has not been seen publicly?
Well, Spencer `𝐾𝐿vin, who you interviewed, would know, because he represented quite a number of victims who the FBI spoke to. So if he is saying that there is that kind of information, he probably knows better than anybody else because of how many victims that he has represented. I mean, we really don't know for sure what the FBI and the DOJ has, but we do. But the victims know to some degree because they've spoken to investigators.
More to come on this. Julie K. Brown, I just reread the three-part series you did for the Miami Herald. It just always astonishes me what a spectacular piece of investigative reporting it is. I recommend people who are interested go back and look at it again. Catherine Christian, always great to have you on the program.
Okay, guys, so let's get into another one. I see the stuff that y'all put in the chat, and hey, everybody has their own perception of what happened. And some people, again, they just, they protect these sort of people. And I mean, it's shocking, but unfortunately, we live in a weird world. I mean, we have a president with 36 felonies. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that you guys protect people that harm children.
Member of the House Oversight Committee and the House Judiciary Committee as well. Congresswoman, thanks so much for joining us. What stands out to you from these emails that were publicly released by the committee today?
Yeah, so number one, it is clear that he knew what was going on, which I think that he's kind of alluded to that at some point in time, because the president said that he was trying to kick 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢n𝐻 out of Mar-a-Lago because it seems like that's where girls were being recruited from based on information that we have. But more importantly is that he was having conversation, he being Jeffrey Epstein, with Michael Wolff, who is writing.
Look at the pedos in the chat. Somebody asked me, you've never done anything weird in your life. No, I've never did anything with a child. We're talking about pedos. Okay, but we know you have. You guys are weird. You weirdos in the chat. These are the Maga pedophiles. That's what they are. You protect people that harm children. And then you ask me a dumb question. Have I ever done anything weird? Messing with a child is not doing, that's not weird. That is a mentally crazy person that needs to be in jail. So you making excuses for people that harm children is just saying you just as crazy as Trump. So stop trying to wordplay and act like doing something with a child is nothing outside of weird. Yeah, it's a bunch of things, but I think it's a little bit on the crazy side. So don't try to make it seem like, oh, you've never done anything weird. You need help. You need help. And you believe in Trump because you are just like him, including the odd behavior with children.
This book, or trying to put together this book, and in real time, as Trump is running for his first presidential run, we hear or we see that he made it clear that he believes that he has leverage over Trump. And he said that a Trump regime would basically open up, this is me paraphrasing, this is not exactly what he said, but basically it'd be a free-for-all. And as we've seen, especially in this second term, it's been a free-for-all where Trump has absolutely pardoned some folk that we know are terrible, and we are waiting on him to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. I think that that's coming up soon, too.
Yeah, an important point indeed. Congresswoman, let's take a closer look at that email from
Donald Trump is preparing to let out a pedo. Now, are you telling me a good person is going to let out a convicted child sex trafficker? Is that what you're telling me? He's preparing to let her out because what he wants her to do is hold those secrets that she has about him. Because in one interview, she lied and acted as if she didn't know anything about Trump. But this email from years ago proves that she lied. So now we understand why Donnie Pedo Trump moved this lady to a medium security prison when, based on her charges and her classification, she was never supposed to be moved. She was never supposed to be moved, but Trump moved her to prevent her from talking about what she knew that he did.
Epstein, where he writes to the author Michael Wolff saying this, and it's a direct quote, redacted victim, the name was redacted. Mar-a-Lago, Trump said he asked me to resign, never a member ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Obviously, we don't have the full context here, but I'm curious, how do you read this specific email and what it means?
Yeah, I think that it is showing that he was well aware and he was trying to cover his tracks at that point in time. And I think that that's what you saw from Jeffrey. Obviously, it'd be better if we could talk to Jeffrey today, but it was very interesting that ultimately Jeffrey Epstein died sitting in prison during Trump's administration.
Now, isn't that a coincidence? Jeffrey Epstein, who we know, well, we've been knew he was tied to Trump because pictures don't lie. He was also in prison during Trump's administration where he died. And people have been saying that that man didn't kill himself. They have been saying that something else happened to him. And wait until y'all see these emails and it'll start to make a little bit of sense.
We had on Representative Marlin Stutzman earlier. He's a Republican, and he tried to make the case that President Trump is the most investigated person in the world, and he has not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing here. What do you make of that?
Listen, they will do and say anything to cover themselves. You know, I will admit that Donald Trump has been investigated more than the normal, but he just happens to be more corrupt and more criminal than any other president than we've had. I will point out he is the only president who has been convicted of 34 felony convictions that we've ever had in the Oval Office. So while we don't know exactly what crimes he may or may not have committed, just think of it this way. If you know that you didn't do anything, then why is it that you would be twisting members of your own party's arms, trying to get them not to release it? This would be exonerating. If you know that you are free and clear, then why not say, you know what, release the files?
If you know that you are clear and you didn't do shit, why are you not releasing the files? That is not the actions of somebody other than somebody who trying to hide something. Because if you didn't do nothing, you didn't like Jeffrey, he wasn't your friend, yada, 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 what are you afraid of? That makes absolutely no sense. So when people come in here and say, oh, well, you know, that doesn't mean anything, it means a lot. This man is the president. He can release the files. I mean, he ran, when he campaigned, he said that he was going to make sure these files was released, but I believe that was before he understood that his, contact with Jeffrey Epstein could possibly be in those files. So now that he done figured that out, he lied to y'all, telling y'all, oh, Jeffrey Epstein is a hoax. That is just something that the Democrats made up. This man ain't nothing but a multiple felony liar and a pedo. He's in the files, just like we got this email that was released from the estate Keep in mind, it was released from Jeffrey Epstein's estate and not Donald Trump.
In fact, he campaigned on releasing the files because he didn't realize that anything that he was involved in whatsoever was involved in the files. But let me tell you something. Another thing that was said in that other email that he had with Michael Wolff was he was talking about if he wants to basically play hardball, we will make mention of the fact that he really has been on the plane. And I don't remember if it mentioned the island.
Let's actually put that email up just so our viewers can fully understand what it says. I just hope the control room can put this email up. It says, I think you should let him hang himself. And this is in response to a question of whether CNN would plan to ask Trump in a town hall about the relationship.
And I agree with that comment. Listen, release all the names, every single name that's in there. Whoever was messing with children, filthy, nasty. We want to know everybody. We want to know everybody. I agree. But the reason why I emphasize Donald Trump is because he's the president. He can actually release the files, but of course he's not, because he's in them damn files. So Donald Trump not releasing the files, he don't give a damn about anybody else that's in there. He only cares about himself. So him not releasing the files, he wouldn't give a damn who was in there. He just don't want his name to be shown in those files. And this is the email that everybody is talking about, where Jeffrey Epstein is talking about Donald Trump. But in this email, what he's saying is he's trying to keep one up on Donald Trump is what they're talking about. But isn't it crazy how Jeffrey Epstein ended up dead? The man ended up dead. And he was actually plotting, because what he is saying in these emails is, listen, Donald Trump pretty much out there living his life and people don't know about him. And he was with this girl over at Mar-a-Lago, but he was basically saying he gonna have one up on Trump. So basically, y'all know what that means. If somebody knows something about you, they can always run and tell it. So that's pretty much what they're saying in these emails. And then the man ended up dead.
Relationship with Epstein. Epstein said, how do we craft an answer for him? And Michael Wolff says in this email, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime.
Yes.
That's a full email.
Yes. That is clear that Jeffrey Epstein had something to hang over his head. Why else or how else could you have a debt that you are able to? Now, exactly what it was, who knows, right? And that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. But the fact that Trump does not want these files to be out, to me, says that he has more to hide than him actually being able to exonerate himself.
He definitely has more to hide, y'all. Like, come on now. Why are you running a pedo protection program? Like, why? What? That's kind of like the worst person in the world, right? Y'all know how we look at stuff. When you mess with children, people just don't want to F with you. So Donald Trump, which he already got a messed up background anyway. I mean, a 34-time felon, but now protecting somebody like this, like not releasing the files, like your rating is damn near down to a 0, but he doesn't care. Why does he not care? Because he would rather look bad in the face of people and lie, because he don't want y'all to get them files. The bad thing too about them files, I feel like when we get them, it ain't gonna say shit anyway, because they gonna redact it. They gonna redact it to hell, but we just have to wait and see.
And then the other email talking about that we used initially, I'm just trying to find that email so I can be really precise here, but it talks about how Epstein is emailing Maxwell saying that Trump was with a victim at his house for several hours. This is an email from April 2nd, 2011. Republicans are saying that victim is Virginia Giuffre. As you know, she died by.
And let's kind of talk about that, because again, when you want to protect a pedo, you come up with all type of reasonings in your little scatterbrain. So let's talk about it. The files could never be released. For one, it was a trial going on, right? So people were saying, well, why didn't they never do anything? When it is a criminal trial going on, you know that stuff cannot be released. So hopefully that can help some of y'all little crazies in the comments that want to protect a pedo. You must be a horrible person, a horrible ass person. And I hope you don't have children to really want to side with a whole pedo. Like, that's just not the side that I would ever be on. If a child say you did it, you did it. And that's that on that. Okay.
By suicide, she's been very outspoken. Jeffrey Epstein. Here's the email right here on your screen. She wrote a book, as you know, and she did not accuse him of any wrongdoing. What do you make of that? And can you confirm that?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it's redacted who the victim is, so I won't necessarily take the Republicans' word on who it is that's redacted. And I don't know why they would necessarily redact someone's name who is deceased at this point.
The Democrats did that, though. The Democrats redacted.
No. I understand,
Okay,
but I'm just saying, like, our biggest concern is to actually.
Well, absolutely. The emails don't show that he's guilty. What the emails show is that there was something going on. We just waiting for Trump to give us some clarification. But again, Donald Trump continues to lie. He tells us, you know, he didn't mess with him. They wasn't friends. So what it looks like is what he's saying and what happened seem to be two totally different things. So no, these emails that was released, I mean, we can use our brain and be like, okay, what if it meant this? The emails does say something, but I mean, can you use that to be like, okay, Donald Trump, you did this? No. But as a president, you are supposed to be honest. But we know he ain't, because he got 34 felonies. But the fact of the matter is, what the emails say is that Donald Trump was with this woman at his residence. And the emails also say is that Donald Trump is the smoking gun. So basically what they're saying is Donald Trump has a lot of information. These particular emails do not lay out what exact information that Donald Trump has, but 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐷 has pretty much in her reply basically confirmed it. But when she interviewed, she acted as if she knew nothing and that Donald Trump was this great person. But the email says that he was with one of those girls. So that's pretty much what it says.
Make sure that we are protecting victims. And obviously, she wrote a book. She told her truth. Whether or not she told everything, who knows? Again, another person that we can't talk to because we have yet another side around this. So I think that that's actually one of the things that we should talk about, is that the president has tried to call this all a hoax. I don't think you have this many people dying around a hoax. I don't think you have somebody trying to hide files around a hoax. We know that there's something there. We know that his own attorney general had to admit that he is in the files, but they are trying to hide stuff. The only reason that we have these emails is because we were able to get them from the estate, not because the Department of Justice was releasing information, not.
Okay, y'all, there you have it. The files that they have didn't even come from Trump. So y'all see how this is looking a little crazy. Donald Trump has been lying. All Donald Trump does is lie with his bad built ass. He needs to go on a fucking diet, okay? So all he does is lie, okay? These files were released from the estate. So it's not like Donald Trump said, hey, you know, I'm innocent, take the files. No, these came from Jeffrey Epstein's estate.
Because Kash Patel was releasing information, even though they've had subpoenas from the Oversight Committee for some time. Kash Patel continues to hold back information. So I thank God that there is somebody that still respects the law and still respects subpoenas in this country, but it's not the people that are in power to do it, the people that actually conducted the investigation. Imagine what we may discover if we got the investigatory information versus getting something from an estate.
Well, but we should also note that the head of the Oversight Committee is a Republican. It's Republican. The chairman is 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐿. And he is the one who is issuing these subpoenas.
Well, let's be clear about this.
Okay.
This is not something that he wanted to do. This was a subcommittee, remember? It has been the Speaker of the House who has consistently tried to avoid this by shutting down the House. So what the Speaker did is he sent us out on an early recess. But before we left, it was a subcommittee of the Oversight Committee that actually did the motion for the subpoenas, and the Democrats kept pushing, and some Republicans actually joined with the Democrats. This was not led by James Comer.
Like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't know if she's on that subcommittee, but Nancy Mace is on that subcommittee for sure. She's actually the chair of that subcommittee. This subcommittee, the ranking member is Summer Lee. So it was that subcommittee. So this was actually the tail wagging the dog. I just want to be clear about that. And ultimately, the chairman had a vote that was bipartisan, that was the majority, and he had to do it. But whether or not they have been like slow rolling this, there is no question about the fact that they have.
And you have had Marjorie Taylor Greene, I believe Thomas Massey. It's been some Republicans who want the full floor vote on this.
Yeah, we've got 4. 4 out of the 219 Republicans, yes, in the House. The rest of them seem to be okay with being complicit with protecting pedophiles.
You know, it's interesting. A CNN poll from last July showed that 50% of Americans were feeling dissatisfied about the amount of information released on the Epstein case. Did that have any influence at all on your decision to make these emails public today?
No, I mean, ultimately what's happened is, obviously, again, we've not been getting anything from the DOJ. Instead, it's been the estate of Epstein. And so as they've been turning things over, it takes staff time to review those documents and things like that to make sure that we've got something, number one, of value to the public. There's still additional information. I want to be clear. We got way more than 3 emails. But in their cursory review, they were able to say, okay, here are 3 emails that we think are of value. We do anticipate that there will be more that they will find that will be of value. They will go through the redaction process. They will also consult with the Republicans before we release anything. So it takes a little bit of a process. But I will say, again, that the estate seemingly has been more participatory than our own Department of Justice, who we actually oversee.
So where do you think all of this is heading?
Good question. I don't know, but hopefully it will start with the swearing in of 𝐟𝐨𝐫𝐿, as they have been avoiding that. Again, the House was shut down over that. I'm sure that the president has been making calls trying to get one of the 4 Republicans that did sign on to the discharge petition. I'm sure he is begging and threatening to get them to pull their names off of there. We know that they don't want to vote. We know that they called us in just for one day to work after we've been out since September. Again, we could be doing additional work. Even if this continuing resolution passes, we should be passing our appropriations bills. That's all the continuing resolution is for, it is in the meantime. But instead, it seems like they want to continue to be evasive so that they can slow walk this subpoena actually coming down.
We have Donald Trump calling, people in Congress, trying to get them to sign off of this petition. You know, he's running a PPP plan, a pedo protection program. That is what he's running, because if you are, trying to get, the people, the files, everybody wants the files. Why are you constantly trying to get these Congress people to not sign up to pretty much have these files released? What are you hiding, Donnie? What are you hiding? Well, I can tell you exactly what he's doing, and I've been saying it, and so have Hakeem Jeffries. Donald Trump is running a pedo protection program.
Not been released. On a personal note, how does it feel to work with so many grown adults who have been obstructing the release of these Epstein files and, in effect, protecting pedophiles?
Well, the Trump administration and Mike Johnson are running a pedophile protection program.
What did he say? They're running a what? They're running, wait a minute, hold on.
On a personal note, how does it feel to work with so many grown adults who have been obstructing the release of these Epstein files and, in effect, protecting pedophiles?
Well, the Trump administration and Mike Johnson are running a pedophile protection program. That's what they've been doing. And that's the reason why they refused to swear in Representative-elect 𝐟𝐨𝐫𝐿. For weeks now. She was elected in late September decisively. And Representative-elect 𝐟𝐨𝐫𝐿 still hasn't been sworn in because she'll become the 218th vote on an up or down piece of legislation that will require the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files? And yet week after week after week have gone by and Representative-elect 𝐟𝐸𝐫𝐫𝐢𝐛𝐬𝐜 is unable to serve 800,000 plus people in the state of Arizona, all because of the pedophile protection program being run.
That's too much for me, y'all. The PPP program, the Pedo Protection Program. Now, come on now. Y'all can't be protecting no pedos.
By Mike Johnson and House Republicans at the direction of their boss, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. You referenced the elections tomorrow, and you expressed for weeks that you expect Democrats to win in Virginia, New Jersey, and California. I'm curious if you believe those victories will be a result of you all presenting yourselves as a check on the Trump administration, or do you feel like Democrats have done an effective job kind of articulating the vision of what America will look like when Democrats are in control, not just resisting what the Trump administration has done, but also putting forward the vision to fix healthcare, as you said, put forward comprehensive immigration, all of the policy kind of planks that Americans are looking for government to fix. Have Democrats this year effectively put forward that vision, or is this just all about a referendum on President Trump and his administration?
I spent time yesterday in New Jersey, including with the next governor of the state of New Jersey, 𝐬𝐿𝐫𝐿, who's running on a clear platform of lowering costs and making life more affordable. And that, of course, is what Democrats have been doing all across the country. And as House Democrats, we've made clear that the American people deserve better than the extremism that has been unleashed on them. From day one of this presidency, you deserve better.
You deserve better, and not a president that's out here protecting people that harm children. Now, I know y'all gonna say he ain't been found guilty. Well, he been found guilty of enough shit. So, for me, anything they say about Donald Trump is probably true, because do you know anybody that got 34 damn felonies? Well, I sure in the hell don't.
Now further shades the conversation that Ghislaine Maxwell had with Todd Blanche before she was transferred to a club fed style prison where she's treated much better than the high security prison she was in before, the one that the type of people convicted of the type of crimes that she was convicted for usually stay in, the ones that are not transferred to the nicer facilities, obviously nicer being relative. Here's what Ghislaine Maxwell said to Todd Blanche. I think they were, regarding Donald Trump, I think they were friendly like people are in social settings. I don't think they were close friends.
Man, I got to stop the video for that. Let me put this one on the screen. Real men don't let other men vote for pedos. Can you say that again? Say it again for the slow people. In fact, let me read it for the slow people in slow motion. Real men don't let other men vote for pedophiles. Did y'all slow people get that? Because I know it's a lot of y'all slow people out here. It's a lot of y'all slow Trump supporting. Y'all are MAGA pedos. That's what you are. You are a MAGA pedo, and you are in the chat. But real men don't let other men vote for pedos. Come on, y'all.
Or I certainly never witnessed the president in any of, I don't recall ever seeing him in his house, for instance. I actually never saw the president in any type of massage setting. I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. Again, this is what she told.
She is a very smart shrewd woman, and she has the goods. I mean, she really does know what happened. So I think it's a little disingenuous of her to play as though I mean, she's still saying she didn't even know Epstein was, abusing young girls or young women. So her whole testimony with Blanche was really, in some ways, suspect from the very start.
I guess there are two questions here, and Ken kind of touched on this. There's one, did Donald Trump himself do anything inappropriate? Was he involved with any of the women? And we haven't, and you correct me if I'm wrong, there has not yet been a woman saying that happened to her with the president. Virginia Giuffre never said that. And then the second question is, did he know about it, though? Was he aware of what was happening on that island, on those planes, what Jeffrey Epstein was doing with Ghislaine Maxwell? And has he not been truthful about that awareness since this exploded into the public domain? Julie.
Well, look, there was one woman, in fairness, there was one woman that filed a lawsuit in 2016 claiming that when she was 13 years old that she was raped by both Trump and Epstein. That there was never any evidence presented in it, and the woman just quietly went away, disappeared.
Let's rewind that for the people in the back, because y'all don't believe nothing when it comes to this pedo. What that lady say that Trump and Epstein did. What now? Let's rewind that. Y'all pay attention now. You may have to put this on slow, because I know some of y'all don't, y'all ain't messing with a full deck. I know some of y'all is a little slow.
In fairness, there was one woman that filed a lawsuit in 2016 claiming that when she was 13 years old that she was raped by both Trump.
Wait a minute. For the slow people, there was a woman. First of all, there is never a woman that's 13, because a 13 is a kid. So a child, and what a coincidence, because we talking about the pedos. So she just said that a child said Donald, Donnie, pedo, Trump, 34 felony having man. And Epstein did what to her? Okay, let's rewind it, because I know y'all gonna say, wait a minute, that's not what she said. How do you know she said that? Is that true? They're lying. It's a conspiracy. Let's rewind it.
Public domain. Julie.
Well, look, there was one woman, in fairness, there was one woman that filed a lawsuit in 2016 claiming that when she was 13 years old that she was raped by both Trump and Epstein. That there was never any evidence presented in it, and the woman just quietly went away, disappeared just days before the election. So we can't,
the lady mysteriously went away days before the election. She mysteriously went away days before the election. I mean, listen, I don't know what y'all experience would be with things like this, but do you know how humiliating it would be to tell a story like this, to say, yeah, by the way, he *'ed me and he *''ed me when I was 13. Who wants to tell those type of stories? Do you understand what I'm saying? Let's rewind it for the people in the back, because I know y'all logging off. Y'all mad. Let's rewind it, because y'all gonna hear it over and over again.
Since this exploded into the public domain. Julie.
Well, look, there was one woman, in fairness, there was one woman that filed a lawsuit in 2016 claiming that when she was 13 years old that she was raped by both Trump and Epstein. That there was never any evidence presented in it, and the woman just quietly went away, disappeared just days before the election. So we can't, but it was a court document. It was a court lawsuit that was filed. So there's been that out there in the domain, but no, there hasn't been any credible evidence presented claiming that when she was 13 years old that she was raped by both Trump and Epstein. That there was never any evidence presented in it, and the woman just quietly went away, disappeared just days before the election. So we can't, but it was a court document. It was a court lawsuit that was filed. So there's been.
Okay, so I guess you all gonna act like you don't know what lawsuit it is. So Trump was sued for SA. This is what this woman is talking about. Now, the lady, she's a lady now, but at the time, the woman said she was 13 years old. So your president that you support has been sued for airing a 13-year-old girl. This ain't a woman. This is a 13-year-old girl. This is who you support. So the fact that you support a pedo means that you either are one, you want to be one, or you're looking to be one. You ain't finna sit here on this live and tell me that Donald Trump didn't do it because he was found liable by a court. You weirdo.
That out there in the election. So we can't, and it was a court document. It was a court lawsuit that was filed. So there's been that out there in the domain, but
Adam, you just lost your privileges to even talk in my chat because you are dumb. You are obviously one of those people that I'm talking about. So you get your ass up out of here. You gotta go. Like, we're not gonna sit up in here and talk about children when Donald Trump is a pedo. He was sued for airing a 13-year-old girl, and you weirdos are in the chat protecting a pedo. You can't comment in my chat. You cannot comment in my chat. I'm blocking you. I'm taking your shit out of my chat. You go, pedo. Go to a pedo chat. You can't be in this chat. Donald Trump are a 13-year-old girl, him and Jeffrey Epstein. This is what this woman is saying right here.
Epstein. That there was never any evidence presented in it, and the woman just quietly went away, disappeared. Just
truthful about that awareness since this exploded into the public domain. Julie.
Well, look, there was one woman, in fairness, there was one woman that filed a lawsuit in 2016 claiming that when she was 13 years old that she was raped by both Trump and Epstein. That there was never any evidence presented in it, and the woman just quietly went away, disappeared, just days before the election. So we can't, and it was a court document. It was a court lawsuit that was filed. So there's been that out there in the domain, but no, there hasn't been any credible evidence presented that Trump was involved.
But what about what he knew and when?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What about what he knew about it? I mean, I guess that is a more relevant question here today.
Well, I think that what these emails are showing, if nothing else, that he was part of Epstein's world very closely. The emails indicate that he was at Epstein's home. The emails seem to indicate that, that he might even have damaging information about Trump. I mean, there's one email from the author Michael Wolff, which was written just before the election, where Wolff is sort of coaxing Epstein to tell the public what he knows because it would finish him, was the words that Wolff used. Now, Epstein was a fabulous, we know that he exaggerated a lot of things. So just because these are in these, some of this damaging information are in these emails doesn't make it true.
Let me just read that email. This is from Jeffrey Epstein, again, to the author Michael Wolff. This is from December 15th, 2015. So it's 11 months, 11 months before the election. He says, I hear CNN planning to
let me stop this to give a shout out to Paul. I don't want to mispronounce your last name, Gutierrez. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I appreciate it. I did receive the super chats. It just goes to another place in my screen, but I did receive both of them. Thank you for stopping by.
Asked Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in a scrum afterwards. This is about a debate. And then Michael Wolff says, if we were able to craft an answer for him, Michael Wolff said that. And then Jeffrey Epstein says this: if we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? And then Michael Wolff responds with, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, and then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you, or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is about to be outlawed in a Trump regime. Julie, remind me exactly what was happening with Jeffrey Epstein in this moment. Was he getting renewed scrutiny? Was he about to be arrested again?
Well, this was when the lawsuits were also coming out against him and Trump. Remember, I just mentioned that woman who sort of went by the name Jane Doe and Katie Johnson. So there was this lawsuit, as I said, that was in the news.
In all honesty, you guys, this is how you can tell we live in a really evil ass world. So where we get to the point that people support folks like this. Now, I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, or an independent, but when you support somebody like this, let me just explain to you something. Let me just make it real clear. I don't know very many people that supported Trump, but the one person that I do know that supported Trump, I don't even like that person anymore, because it led me to believe just what type of filthy individual this person was that I didn't even know. And in all actuality, this person that I know that's, that voted for Trump doesn't even have a job. So I'm like, how are you voting for Trump? You don't have a job. But what I realized is this person was miserable. So what they were doing is they were using Trump as a vehicle to push out all of their misery, because he's miserable. And all of the shit that he spews on a daily basis made them feel good. And I didn't realize that until, when I realized this person voted for Trump. And I'm like, now, wait a minute. You don't have a job. You don't got this. You don't have that. And you voted for Trump. And that's how I realized, too, a lot of them Trump supporting ass people are miserable, too.
At the time. So, and the questions were just sort of swirling around him just because of the Access Hollywood tape and the Stormy Daniels event. So there were a lot of questions right around this time about, who he was involved with and what kind of sexual, accusations were being made at the time.
Yeah, just to be fair, this is from 2015. The Access Hollywood tape didn't come out until...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, a little bit later. But yeah, there were still at the time questions about Donald Trump and his propriety. I mean, they'd been dogging him for years. So they were definitely coming up during the campaign in those early days. There was the Megyn Kelly dust up just a couple months earlier. So it was definitely out there, those questions.
Well, and also I just want to add the other one from Michael Wolff, not the one you read. There's another one that he wrote that's similar, that uses the word, it's right before it was right around this time where he uses the word, this could really finish Trump. So there's another email that wasn't part of the original 3 that were released where he is talking about this around the time of the election.
That's interesting. All right, let's bring in Tara Palmieri, author of Red Letter, the Red Letter on Substack, investigative and political journalist as well. Tara, so the president just posted this on True Social. He says the Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown and so many other subjects. Only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into that trap. The Democrats cost our country $1.5 trillion with their recent antics of viciously closing our country, while at the same time putting many at risk, and they should pay a fair price. There should be no deflections to Epstein or anything else, and any Republicans involved should focus only on opening up our country.
This dude takes no accountability. I mean, to say Jeffrey Epstein is a hoax, so you're saying everything related to Jeffrey Epstein was a hoax? This dude has a kindergarten vocabulary. I don't even know if I want to say kindergarten, maybe preschool. How is this a hoax? Can somebody make me understand how is this being, all of a sudden was a hoax? Are you saying the victims was a hoax? Like, this is crazy.
And fixing the massive damage caused by the Democrats. How worried is the White House? How worried is the president about this Epstein stuff, these emails, and what could come?
Yeah, well,
we know that when he says there's nothing going on there, that there are problems. And just last night, even before all of these emails leaked out, I was hearing that House members were talking about the fact that they could not, possibly vote nay on this one once the bill was actually on the floor. So there were already Republican members starting to break ranks. And I think these emails just apply more pressure, and you can see a really desperate White House that is responding that way. I mean, the New York Times is reporting that he's calling Lauren Boebert, he's calling Nancy Mace, who is running for governor in South Carolina and would need his endorsement to clear in the primary. But he is working every angle he can to try to get them to remove their names from the discharge petition so that the bill won't come to the floor. Because once it's on the floor, it's going to be really, really hard for these members not to vote for it. And he's in a really tough spot. And I think this whole idea of flood the zone, just dump all of the emails right now, get all of the journalists, in a tizzy looking through all of it. It reeks of desperation, frankly.
What about the reaction among Donald Trump's base? They had been so loud in a demand for the Epstein files to know who knew what, to hold those accountable. And it seems like some of that died off over the summer during the shutdown. Where are they today?
Yeah, I think that they were following him. I mean, his believers tend to trust him when he says there's nothing there, it's a hoax. Where are they today? I think that there is universal support for releasing the files. If there's nothing there, then show it. There's just so much mystery around it, too. And for so long, he said that it's a cabal of elitist Democrats. So they want to see that, too. I think that there is bipartisan desire for justice in this story, despite what he says. I just think that you're not hearing it from the loudest voices online anymore on the right because they now work in his administration. They're Kash Patel, Pam Bondi.
Yeah. I wonder where do they think the threat is coming, the White House? What do they think might happen if Donald Trump is further implicated?
I think it obviously weakens his presidency. I mean, he's only got, another year until the midterm elections when he will truly be a lame duck president. But this is really damaging. The idea that the president is that closely associated with a pedophile ring. I mean, this is, you have to.
President associated with a pedophile ring. This is not funny, but it's like, what's going on, y'all? Like, how are we here? The president of the United States associated with such mess? Like, what the hell is going on? Like, what world do we live in? How do y'all support some shit like this? Like, how did you support something like this? Like, this should not be happening. Donald Trump is the type of president that if you saw him with your kids, go the other way because you don't know what he might do. Like, this is too much. Like, how are y'all supporting this? And then putting in the chat as if he didn't do this. Like, this is, you can literally go and find this. This man was sued and found guilty. Like, are you effing kidding me right now? Like, you gotta be, something definitely has to be wrong with you.
I think the UK ambassador to the US had to step down for much less. I mean, this is really something to see.
And I have to say, I agree with you in the chat. You said Trump wasn't a pedo. Trump was a PR people. Hey, I agree. But the reason that I'm saying pedo is because he is linked to Jeffrey Epstein, and Jeffrey Epstein was messing with underage girls. So yes, Donald Trump was sued for R-ing somebody, a 13-year-old girl, but he also is linked to Jeffrey Epstein, and we know Jeffrey Epstein had those young girls.
How closely associated it is in all of his emails. Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it.
Someone who's trying to make it on TV. And so, this is just, I think it's political. It's kryptonite. I don't know how anyone can survive this, especially if the Epstein files reveal an even closer association. And it's a drip, 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 Katie. Like, it's the worst way to handle a story. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more there. There really is. Even Virginia Giuffre's book, she didn't even share all of it, all of the people that she was, trafficked to. It was 36 men. There's so many more. And that means that her files, her depositions, that men paid a lot of money to lawyers to try to redact their names. If those files are actually released unredacted, I mean, it will open up a whole new can of worms.
And let me be clear, I hope everybody is exposed. Everybody. So this is just not about Trump. This is everybody who's in the files. I hope that they're exposed. We should not live in a world where we allow these perverts to come out and, be doing things to children. And then we are running, well, some of y'all are running a pedo protection program. We can't allow this. Why are we allowing these people to be up in our government, in our White House that was built by slaves? Why are we allowing them to even be there? He doesn't need to be there. He needs to go. Donald Trump needs to be in prison. And as soon as he walk his bad body out of the White House, I believe that is exactly where he's going.
Is in the Epstein emails. As Nicole Wallace and I were just discussing, that is now confirmed. Prior to this, responsible people, lawyers who deal in evidence, journalists who deal with what we know and don't know, weren't saying that yet. Other people have said all kinds of things, by the way, on both sides of this. But what you see on your screen, our headline here, is the first time this has been reported and confirmed with receipts because Epstein himself emailed about Trump. We have this from Congress. These are damning emails where Epstein says, this is his view, what he alleges, that Donald Trump knew of Epstein's conduct. He sent an email in 2019, revealed for the first time ever today, so long after his death. We now learn that he says, of course, Trump knew about, quote, the girls. Now, that is a major statement. The context of it is what lawyers and investigators would call more credible, because it was made privately in a secret manner that he thought would stay secret. And if you're saying, okay, Ari, but now it's on the news, now it's in other people's hands. Yeah, years later, and after he died, this statement he made stayed secret all that time through the probe and through his own death. So what they thought would stay secret did stay secret for a long time. And while Donald Trump vowed to release exactly this type of material, the emails or files in government possession, he broke that vow, and it's only the dogged pursuit of investigative reporters. We have a key one coming up, and government officials, and in the independent branch of Congress, where Democrats, with some Republicans, I should note, have been pushing to release the files. And we'll get into what it means, whether you call it files or emails, transfers of documents, data. But these emails are some of the most newsworthy because they involve the now deceased Epstein trafficker talking to the now incarcerated Epstein co-conspirator, Maxwell. In that email, he says Trump also asked Maxwell, that's Ghislaine Maxwell, to stop, which seems to be a reference to a public fallout that we have seen, that Trump and Epstein were close, they would socialize together. We've linked them in public reporting before, separate from what's in the files. We knew that they publicly appeared together. That was in the 2000s and later had this falling out. Epstein says Trump asked him to basically resign or leave Mar-a-Lago, but Epstein insists he wasn't formally a member. Now, Trump had claimed that he banned Epstein from the resort after basically a dispute over people who worked there. That's one way to put it. Others have questioned what it meant that they basically, quote, took people that worked for me and what kind of pressure and scrutiny that puts on both men and the people in their employ. Another Epstein email from 2011, newly revealed today for the first time, is the bombshell. It is redacted with the word victim, and I want to draw your attention to exactly what it says. Epstein is emailing secretly to Maxwell, later convicted for his sex trafficking ring, that Trump had spent hours at his house, hours at Epstein's house with, and redacted by the government, we just see the word victim. That's the individual name. The White House isn't denying that that was a victim. I'll get to that today. But basically, this is the now revealed claim. The emails do not dictate a kind of specific misconduct by Trump. Although they say he knew about the, quote, girls, and if you take the term girls literally, combined with what Maxwell was convicted of, and a heck of a lot of other reporting, the allegation from Epstein, now deceased, is that Trump knew about what girls, what minors, what females under 18.
Let me just stop this just for a minute, y'all. We're going to rewind it because I'm going to cuss these hoes out in the chat. Gladys, you pedo protector, you. Get the hell off and out of my chat, okay? Get on out of here. You probably a pedo yourself. Get the F-U-C-K out of here, okay? Don't come in my damn chat, bitch, talking shit when we're talking about a pedophile that hurts children. You get your weird ass out of here. We talking about a pedophile, and apparently you are one yourself, okay? So if you want to put nasty comments when we're talking about people that harm children, get the hell up out of here. Trump is a pedo. I don't give a damn if you like it or if you don't, because I'm going to do 20 more videos constantly talking about the same shit. He's a pedo and he needs to get the hell out of the White House, and you need to go with him, bitch.
We're doing a type of wrongdoing. This is a huge deal. Trump spent hours with redacted victims. Trump knew what was going on. And remember, Trump claimed repeatedly last year, and his attorney general claimed this year, they would release the Epstein files. Now, people can debate what that term means. It's not a term you can just define in a dictionary or in any government handbook. Some people use it to mean what they believe to be a kind of secret pile of documents that the DOJ has. Other people mean just any material.
Man, this is how you know we live in a messed up world. Like, when I tell you I did not realize that the world was so messed up and how people protect the worst kind of individuals. They are literally in the chat protecting a person that was sued for harming somebody that was 13 years old. You are going to live a very great life. I mean, how more effed up can you be? I mean, you are literally in here fighting for your life for an old 90-year-old dilapidated ass man that was convicted of 34 felonies. He was sued for SA and a 13-year-old, and you really in here fighting for your life?
It's secret that could come out. The Epstein estate clearly has some of this material, which is how it got to Congress. I will tell you in our special report why the DOJ most probably has it. Now, the Trump link to Epstein has...
Because it's my motherfucking chat, Lenny, and you get your ass out of here, because I can say what the fuck I want to say. Goodbye. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. Now.
Been documented. But this is the first time we have seen Epstein in his own now deceased hand put on paper or email, put down as a record what he thought Trump did and knew. And Maxwell responds back. And again, they thought this was secret. This is considered credible evidence. It's the kind of damning material that you can understand why Trump would want to keep secret. And that is clear, even apart from whether it rises to a legal level that investigators or federal prosecutors would look at. And when I say investigators, I mean they would have to investigate it. We're not reporting that these references reach the bar of opening a criminal probe. But if you think back outside of the Trump era to just normal political times, being even linked this way.
That's so funny. You said welfare queen. You have to be talking about yourself, because I don't work for anybody. I can do what I want to do. That's why I'm sitting at home talking about Trump. So you take your job, okay? So there's no welfare queens over here, honey. We eat when we want to eat, and we buy what we want and do what the hell we want while you punch into your 9 to 5. And I'm going to sit here and talk about Trump, and you mad. You mad, girl. You're mad, okay? Trump is a pedo, and let's rewind this shit. Let's rewind it.
Is in the Epstein emails. As Nicole Walls and I were just discussing, that is now confirmed. Prior to this, responsible people, lawyers who deal in evidence, journalists who deal with what we know and don't know, weren't saying that yet. Other people have said all kinds of things, by the way, on both sides of this. But what you see on your screen, our headline here, is the first time this has been reported and confirmed with receipts, because Epstein himself emailed about Trump. We have this from Congress. These are damning emails where Epstein says, this is his view, what he alleges, that Donald Trump knew of Epstein's conduct. He sent an email in 2019, revealed for the first time ever today, so long after his death, we now learn that he says, of course, Trump knew about, quote, the girls. Now, that is a major statement. The context of it is what lawyers and investigators would call more credible, because it was made privately in a secret manner that he thought would stay secret. And if you're saying, okay, Ari, but now it's on the news, now it's in other people's hands. Yeah, years later, and after he died, this statement he made stayed secret all that time through the probe and through his own death. So what they thought would stay secret did stay secret for a long time. And while Donald Trump vowed to release exactly this type of material, the emails or files in government possession, he broke that vow. And it's only the dogged pursuit of investigative reporters. We have a key one coming up, and government officials and in the independent branch of Congress, where Democrats, with some Republicans, I should note, have been pushing to release the files. And we'll get into what it means, whether you call it files or emails, transfers of documents, data. But these emails are some of the most newsworthy because they involve the now deceased Epstein trafficker talking to the now incarcerated Epstein co-conspirator Maxwell. In that email, he says Trump also asked Maxwell, that's Ghislaine Maxwell, to stop, which seems to be a reference to a public fallout that we have seen, that Trump and Epstein were close, they would socialize together. We've linked them in public reporting before, separate from what's in the files. We knew that they publicly appeared together. That was in the 2000s and later had this falling out. Epstein says Trump asked him to basically resign or leave Mar-a-Lago, but Epstein insists he wasn't formally a member. Now, Trump had claimed that he banned Epstein from the resort after basically a dispute over people who worked there. That's one way to put it. Others have questioned what it meant that they basically, quote, took people that worked for me and what kind of pressure and scrutiny that puts on both men and the people in their employ. Another Epstein email from 2011, newly revealed today for the first time, is the bombshell. It is redacted with the word victim, and I want to draw your attention to exactly what it says. Epstein is emailing secretly to Maxwell, later convicted for his sex trafficking ring, that Trump had spent hours at his house, hours at Epstein's house with, and redacted by the government, we just see the word victim. That's the individual name. The White House isn't denying that that was a victim. I'll get to that today. But basically, this is the now revealed claim. The emails do not dictate a kind of specific misconduct by Trump, although they say he knew about the, quote, girls, and if you take the term girls literally, combined with what Maxwell was convicted of and a heck of a lot of other reporting, the allegation from Epstein, now deceased, is that Trump knew about what girls, what minors, what females under 18 were doing, a type of wrongdoing. This is a huge deal. Trump spent hours with redacted victim. Trump knew what was going on. And remember, Trump claimed repeatedly last year, and his attorney general claimed this year, they would release the Epstein files. Now, people can debate what that term means. It's not a term you can just define in a dictionary or in any government handbook. Some people use it to mean what they believe to be a kind of secret pile of documents that the DOJ has. Other people mean just any material that's secret that could come out. The Epstein estate clearly has some of this material, which is how it got to Congress. I will tell you in our special report why the DOJ most probably has it. Now, the Trump link to Epstein has been documented. But this is the first time we have seen Epstein, in his own now deceased hand, put on paper or email, put down as a record what he thought Trump did and knew. And Maxwell responds back. And again, they thought this was secret. This is considered credible evidence. It's the kind of damning material that you can understand why Trump would want to keep secret. And that is clear, even apart from whether it rises to a legal level that investigators or federal prosecutors would look at. And when I say investigators, I mean they would have to investigate it. We are not saying, we're not reporting that these references reach the bar of opening a criminal probe. But if you think back outside of the Trump era to just normal political times, being even linked this way to a convicted sex trafficker like Maxwell and the deceased accused sex trafficker Epstein, he just wasn't tried because he died in prison. This is a huge bombshell in and of itself. And there's more coming, according to at least a slim majority of the current Congress. Because late today, the House finally swore in Congresswoman 𝐬𝐫𝐫𝐿, This was after Mike Johnson had used the shutdown to delay this for 50 days. And that sets in motion what Democrats with some Republicans say are enough votes to override the Johnson-Trump secrecy agenda and get more Epstein materials released. So the vote is more relevant now than ever. You have this shocking new evidence. You have a Trump scandal that has been growing over time, not diminishing. And you have the administration, the Trump White House, basically saying, well, the Democrats selectively leaked a couple emails and that they're trying to, quote, smear Donald Trump. What's interesting about that is they are the ones who had long called to release the emails. I'll show you more on that. In addition, things are happening. We talk about sometimes nothing happening in Congress. Well, today, Republican lawmakers responded to Democrats and how they'd use their power, getting up off the mat here and doing something, and Republicans responded by doing more, which interestingly also hurts the Trump White House, releasing about 20,000 other documents from the Epstein estate. We have reporters sifting through those here. I can tell you a lot of folks in Washington, in media, in law, and certainly in politics are sifting through those. Now let me turn to Trump's broken promise. Trump is in the Epstein emails, yet he campaigned on this kind of transparency, releasing these emails and even more. And then after being sworn in, his Attorney General, Bondi, promised to release more Epstein material.
The list of clients that went to the island has not been made public. So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now.
And she would go on to vow to release what she said was sitting on her desk. She talked about a client list. And then later, and this is what caused such a MAGA uproar, AG Bondi, under Trump DOJ, said there was nothing more to release at all and said there was no possible blackmail. One of the other emails to a writer talks about that, although it doesn't confirm it. So what we have is Donald Trump and his top DOJ official claiming they would do part of what's happening today. And now that it's happening today, over their objections, they're saying this is bad. And that's why this story, although it starts with the victims, and we've had victims on this program, we have a Miami Herald reporter coming up who started all this work long before it was a political football, and that matters. This also matters because it is a kind of an illustration of the most important problem with the way Donald Trump is governing right now. MAGA people notice it on some topics, other people notice it on other topics, but whether he's campaigning on lower prices or Epstein transparency, once in office, he not only turns to other issues, but lies about these things. And so depending on which issue you care about, you start to notice it. Donald Trump has been criticized more on this issue from the right than probably any other thing we can measure this year. And today shows those criticisms were on the right track, that he was acting guilty because he's in the files. And that when he attacked the Wall Street Journal, owned by Rupert Murdoch, and other outlets for reporting that he was linked to Epstein, that he wrote him a birthday card, that Pam Bondi said he was in the files or the emails, he's in the emails. We have that today. And we've shown you that Trump and Epstein have a long, detailed, repeating history. We documented it in these two timelines, their relationship on the jet and the parties. And as you see over to the right, a lengthy case timeline where we showed some of these conflicts of interest. You got the parties in New York, you got Mar-a-Lago, you got video of them looking like two guys who definitely enjoyed each other's company. And yes, they claimed a later falling out. Trump is trying to downplay what actually happened. He has sued the Wall Street Journal because they published evidence, corroboration. That birthday card was later leaked by, do you remember where it came? Where it came from? The Epstein estate. In law, they call this a chain of custody, that when you have material and it goes from, say, the original source, literally Epstein's home, out to another reputable source, say prosecutors or the government or Congress, that's the chain of custody. That authenticates the material.
I'm sorry, y'all. This is something that I have just come to realize. Do y'all notice how the people that support Donald Trump did say that he liked the uneducated. And there's a reason for it, because nobody with any kind of common sense or any education anywhere could believe anything that he's saying. Some of the stuff they putting in the chat is just like, dude, are you high? Do you do drugs, or what is the issue? Like, if you support Donald Trump still right now, it's something wrong with you. But Donald Trump said what? He liked the what? Uneducated.
Material. It looks like Donald Trump and some people around him knew he was in these emails, knew about this birthday card, if he wrote it and signed it. And Pam Bondi, according to reporting that Trump objected to, warned him and said maybe it's better to take the political hit for breaking the campaign vow or looking like you were misleading or lying than take the hit for being in the emails. But look what's happened. Now they've taken the hit for both, and the story's not over. This is a matter of significant interest. We're seeing it today since the emails dropped at every major news site, in local papers, not just the politically obsessed national ones, and you can see it in El País and international news, all from when it broke today. This is the one story that President Trump cannot run from. Now, he has deflected, he has misled, and only he knows what he knows. Only he knows what he did and why they had the falling out. Only he knows what he remembers he knew at the time about whether there was a awareness of a level of operational sex trafficking that he objected to, which could go in his favor. In fairness, if the email is correct that he objected to it and told Maxwell about it and they both remembered it, that's one thing in his favor. But how did he know so much about it, and why did he mislead about it after the fact? And when he was running on vowing transparency, what was he planning? And when Pam Bondi, according to reporting, said, you're in these files and emails, then what did they do? These are big questions. Today is a breakthrough. And there are some people who look up these days, and every time they see a breakthrough, they say, well, will anything change, or does it matter, and will there be accountability? But this is the kind of story, particularly with heat from the right to the left, and now a looming vote to get more files, that has a lot of momentum.
Well, I know y'all forgot about this, but I said, let me remind you, because, you know, Donald Trump said that he liked the uneducated, and I understand why he said that he loves the uneducated.
Poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
I love the poorly educated. Y'all do know what the poorly educated means. He said he loves you.
Poorly educated. I love the poorly educated. Today we take a very historic action that was 45 years in the making. In a few moments, I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education once and for all.
That's why he likes the poorly uneducated, because he one of them. So he deletes the Department of Education because he's the poorly uneducated. And in fact, he's the father of the no educated.
With poorly educated, I love the poorly educated. Today we take a very historic action that was 45 years in the making. In a few moments, I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education once and for all.
This is how you know he's very much poorly uneducated. What in the hell is the Federal Department of Education? What? The Federal Department? He is dumb as hell.
Should I do this? We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
I love the poorly educated. He loves you all. The poorly uneducated, he loves your dumbasses. If you are poorly uneducated, he loves you because you are just as dumb as he is. See, Donald Trump got his money from his father. You didn't really have to work for it. You know, while y'all asses out there slaving like slaves, Donald Trump, who runs the Pedo protection program, he loves the uneducated.
On a personal note, how does it feel to work with so many grown adults who have been obstructing the release of these Epstein files and, in effect, protecting pedophiles?
Well, the Trump administration and Mike Johnson are running a pedophile protection program.
What? Now, I'm not laughing at the pedos, but For the president of the world, the United States, to be running a PPP, a pedo protection program, now that's some shit right there. You love the poorly uneducated because you are definitely poorly uneducated, and you run a protection plan for pedos. Man, this is the worst president ever. He runs a PPP program.
Which still have not been released. On a personal note, how does it feel to work with so many grown adults who have been obstructing the release of these Epstein files and, in effect, protecting pedophiles?
Well, the Trump administration and Mike Johnson are running a pedophile protection program. That's what they've been doing. And that's the reason why they refused to swear in Representative-elect 𝐼𝐸ZH𝐵𝐸 for weeks now. She was elected in late September decisively. And Representative-elect 𝐼𝐸ZH𝐵𝐸 still hasn't been sworn in because she'll become the 218th vote on an up or down piece of legislation that will require the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files.
I just had to stop this for a moment because I'm trying to find humor in this because this is very sad. Somebody wrote in the chat, yeah, I'm going to put it on the screen. I'm going to have to go look this up because I knew Donald Trump was dumb and uneducated, but I didn't know his own professor said that he was the dumbest person in the class that they ever had. Now, we know his daddy paid for everything. We know that Donald Trump never saw the struggle because his daddy rescued him. So all of y'all working people that got to get out and work, you got to take care of your families. That's what everybody have to do at some point until you decide, listen, let me set it up different, so I don't have to do that. But that's where we all start, okay? We can all use a good job. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump don't understand you because he never had to do what you had to do. And then to be running a whole pedo protection program is insane.
Have not been released. On a personal note, how does it feel to work with so many grown adults who have been obstructing the release of these Epstein files and, in effect, protecting pedophiles?
Well, the Trump administration and Mike Johnson are running a pedophile protection program.